Video 10. I was having a conversation today about the problem-solving matrix. So just doing a quick video here Friday, knock this thing out. But the problem-solving matrix for me is very formulaic. And I can't say that I could look it up on the internet, which I have tried to find out what is the problem-solving matrix. And there's numerous formulas out there that you'd probably find in any learning institution on problem solving. But for me, it generally defaults to asking the question, okay, and it centers on obviously who is the organization, what industry are they performing in, and what's the problem. And when they share what the problem is, then I might assess that problem and say, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Here's some examples where I've seen exactly what you're talking about in your industry or in another industry. So that might be the initiator in that conversation. That's one example. Another example would be, okay, I haven't really heard that problem, so let me ask some questions to see if that really is the problem. And so maybe the initial conversation will illuminate the validity or accuracy of the problem, because sometimes the problems we think we have are not actually the problems we have, and so that can be a solution set in itself. So then, we've agreed on what the problem is. Then the next step may be, what are some examples of solutions in your industry or other industries that you believe, or we can believe together, are solutions to problems like the one you're seeking? In which case, now we look at other examples. And as you hear me say often, pursuit of best-in-class centers of excellence. If we can figure out and agree on clarity on what the problem is, we probably are going to have an idea of what the solution we're seeking looks like or could be. What are solutions out there in best-in-class centers of excellence in the industry that we're talking about? We start looking at those. And again, all of these things, all of this conversation, stimulation, exploration, it spawns ideation as you go. The more you discuss a problem, the more you explore solutions, the more you start looking at parallel solutions in other organizations in your industry. What are things like the things you're doing in other industries? These are all the pathways that I bring when I sit down and get a whiteboard and sit down with an individual or an organization and explore problem solving. It's formulaic for me because I've had the blessing of working in multiple industries and realizing that you can borrow problem solving and solution sets from other industries that are not yours and figure out how to translate that to what you're doing. One example of that was when I got hired by Dr. Gregory, the cardiologist who Delta Force introduced me to back in 2009, because he had been, for 3 decades, he had been someone the unit called their 300-pound brain. And Dr. Gregory, you won't find him on the internet really. He learned early on to have a low footprint on the internet. But in one meeting, the first day we met, and I'll have to share that story another time to keep the time down here. But he basically said, I want to hire you to be my innovation director. I want to learn about your industry, which at the time was sports focused at Nike and Nike Innovation. He said, I want to learn everything Nike does. I want to learn how you guys solve problems for athletes. And while I'm learning through you how you guys approach problems and how you solve them through all the resources and experience Nike has, I'll teach you how I solve problems in the medical space and the science space. And at the end, we'll learn from each other, and we're probably going to discover a a whole lot of ways of solving problems that neither of us ever imagined before. And that, again, this is 15, 16 years ago now, helped set me on a course for looking at problem solving differently than most conventional organizations or individuals tend to approach it. And again, it helped me cross over into multiple industries and realizing how to solve problems across industries by borrowing from other industries. Again, until you live and work and breathe and, survive and thrive in multiple industries, you can't really quantify whether whatever you know or whatever you're an expert in your industry will translate to another industry. Lucky for me, I've gotten to do this in 4, 5, 6 industries. So I am confident that problem solving works across industries. It's just a matter of how you apply the knowledge you've gained. So anyway, thanks again. Look forward to more conversations. Hopefully you're getting some value out of this. It's a good exercise for me to try to present it in some way that makes sense. So I'll keep working at it. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Peace.